Welcome, my name is Frank Walisimbi. This is Uganda First. We continue to discuss patriotism in its detail, and today we explore another exciting topic, a patriotic citizen in transforming the country. Patriotism, friends, is not about waving flag and proclaiming love for country. It has to be seen to be put into action, action that is anchored on the discovery of your purpose as a Ugandan. Who are you? Where do you want to be as an individual in the coming few years? How do you want to see your country benefit from your hard work? Those are some of the guiding questions if you really wish to discover your purpose and henceforth transform your country. Today I'm joined by a professor of political science, Murindwa Rutanga, a man who holds several titles to himself. He is a constitution expert for East African Confederation. He once headed the Department of Political Science at Makerere University, Kampala. He was recognized and awarded an Independence Gold Medal. He also lectures at the Senior Command and Staff College in Chimaka. Also in studio today is Aloysius Amanyabyona, a patriotism coordinator for universities in Uganda. He's a very active patriotism corps trained at Chankwanzi. He's currently pursuing a Master's of Political Science at Makerere University. Professor Murindwa, good to see you, good to have you in studio.
It's a pleasure to be here, addressing our people.
Did I miss out anything in the introduction?
Well, not quite, but that that I'm old, that I teach at Uganda Military Academy,
yes.
Kabamba, that I teach at
Kabamba
Oliver,
and Chimaka.
They are different, yeah, they are different. I teach at Oliver Tambo. I teach in different institutions, and then I'm external examiner in 16 universities all over Eastern and Southern Africa, among other things.
What a wealth of experience.
I don't know.
Glad to have you. You will really help us break down this topic about a patriotic citizen in transforming the country. Mr. Aloysius,
yes,
Amanyabyona,
yes, sir.
You know all.
Well,
The name seems to suggest.
Yes.
Good to have you.
Yeah, good to have you, Mr. Walisimbi, and thank you.
All right. I'm told you coordinate universities.
Yes, yes.
When it comes to patriotism.
Yes, yes.
How is this coordination like? What do you do?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting us here and sharing the issues of national importance. It's very important. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to share something that relates to you, to your country, that benefits the country. Many topics are made, many people appear to educate, but it's more important to find that you're sharing something that relates to national building. Now, how coordination is at the university is first of all, I want to say we are many coordinators. We are in a team. We act in after all, the coordination as a concept is you must be a team. You can't coordinate one person. So there is a coordinating team appointed by the National Secretariat of Patriotism Corps, which I happen to be on. And that team, the universities also have coordinators. Every university in the whole country has a coordinator of patriotism of a club. Let's say some call them chairman of a club. Some are called chief coordinators. Some are called the president of patriotism, and they have their own structures indoor. They are structures in a university, be it Makerere, be it Chambogo, whichever, private and public. So coordination is what we do. Is we bring in, for instance, facilitators from different government bodies and maybe informed people, to share knowledge, experience, with students of the universities, depending on different on whichever university we have chosen to go to. Yeah, that's how we do.
Good work, thank you. We decided that every week, if possible, we commend somebody for work well done. And this week on the show, we would like, in a special way, to commend Dr. Joseph Podoi, a senior consultant surgeon at Soroti Regional Referral Hospital, who led a team that carried out a surgery to separate conjoined twins. A number of surgeries have been done before to separate twins, but with this one, Dr. Podoi was faced with a very unusual situation of separating a living twin from a dead one. Imagine that. The dead twin was in fact dead for 6 days, and doctors elsewhere, in Kampala specifically, had advised the family to take the twin girls back home to Kapera Byong to wait for the second one to die and bury them. Last week, Dr. Podoi gave hope to Joy Salinga, the twins' mother, when he said he would separate the twins who were joined at the chest area, sharing a liver and ribs. The surgery happened on Friday, 26th March. We get information that the mother and surviving twin are doing well. Dr. Podoi, who hails from Soroti, is a specialist in urology. He has a master's degree in surgery and another master's in urology. Dr. Podoi, we thank you for the patriotism you exhibit in your work, and all other doctors you have taken that you are with, that you led to carry out that surgery. We thank you so much, and we commend you on this show. Professor, was that patriotism? Is he a patriot citizen?
I would like to say that it was great work. It was a breakthrough, having seen the operation that took place and in another place where they were trying to separate semies. Those who were joined, and one was jealous. They had two heads, and one was jealous of the other. So she said that they should split them, and the other one wanted to remain with the other one, but it was jealous over boyfriend, and so having signed, they split the two, and they died. That was outside. You must know the story.
I remember that story.
Yeah. So that one also was patriotic. Similarly, this one is not only patriotic, but was successful. That was one side. But we must commend our doctors in this country. That's one of the areas which we must put emphasis on, how they fought against different diseases, malaria, COVID, how Ebola and so on and so forth.
Being at the forefront.
Yeah, they have been at the forefront. They never run away.
Yes.
These professionals, doctors, have been on the front line like the military. Whenever there is a problem, they bring the military, they bring the police to cordon off, then the doctors do their work. So the medical profession is doing very well. There might be some who might not be serious or who are doing other things, but on the whole, we must commend them. They have done a commendable work. And so are others who are also committed to the work they are doing.
You know, the story is bigger than that. I didn't want to mention a particular hospital, but these twins were, one is dead, the other is still living. They are brought to Kampala where, you expect all the experts to be, all the medical machinery, but somebody says, you know what, you go back and wait for this one to die. At least I was thinking within myself that at least try and fail. Try and fail. Yeah. When they went back, Dr. Podoi was like, I will do it. I will do it. I found that very patriotic.
But
so,
something's more on that. Also, when I followed that story, I took it as breaking news. How I wish all the media houses would say breaking news, just like we hear the other breaking news. This was, to me, really patriotic. But also, the parents, to the mother, also, because patriotism is a spirit, they are also patriotic. They didn't give up. They said even when we have failed, when we have failed, the bigger, maybe in a bigger perspective, let's give it another try.
They came to Kampala, went back to Soroti. They were like, no, we want to go home. Let's try Soroti once
so the
again.
parents also, I want to really thank them and say that they are also actually patriotic.
My prayer and wish is that the mother and surviving child will make it.
They will definitely they will make it. But what I want us to know is that we shouldn't treat it as an isolated case. Otherwise, we'll miss the point. The doctors are doing formidable work in whatever they are doing, whether it is dealing with psychiatric problems, whether they are dealing with cancer and so on and so forth. There are breakthroughs in this country, and doctors are leading. Uganda is leading in medical researchers. Different. So sometimes when some professionals might find the case impossible, and there is also where a child might carry out an operation, and then the doctors are sued, especially in countries where they lack suing. If they so on and so forth. So if they have assessed, sometimes they might find that the situation might not be salvageable, but when it goes someone else, he handles. And luck sometimes, there is a profession, but there is also luck, timing and luck and so on and so forth.
Being careful with the decision at hand.
Yeah, so, and then also calculation. You remember Rusheje, who operated someone who had swallowed something and a coin and was about to die, cut and removed the coin. Dr. Rusheje, he was a Muzungu, and later on the person sued him for operating on him without authority. He was sued in the US. So these are matters which are very complicated. And as we praise him, and he did a formidable job, still we must know the other sides, and that it is a team of all doctors in this country, and others, including nurses, who are doing formidable work.
We have made it incumbent on ourselves to pick out these exceptions, give them a mention, and I think it's okay.
It's a success also in our country, on our region, and on this continent, that we can do that operation and it is successful. So his operation is also a marker, like other markers outside. You can see that COVID is now kept at 335, whereas in other countries they are reaching 0.6 of a million. The dead. So when we say that, and you have seen our medical people doing great work day and night, pushing out COVID. So all those must be put into consideration. Know that this country has more potentials, not only potentials, but actual people in practice, and all are exhibiting patriotic work. All that is love for the country and citizenry, which I will be talking about. Later on I will be talking about citizenry, after even talking about East African community.
That introduces us well to today's topic, a patriotic citizen in the transformation of the country. Aloysius, who is this patriotic person we're talking about? What are their characteristics?
I wish I took it and then he...
Please, Prof.
Sorry, I'm not taking it from him.
Please.
Because I'm older.
Yes.
So I catch little and then he can...
please, proceed.
Before I talk about it, you remind me to make an announcement about EAC later on. East African Community Consultation meetings in Uganda.
Okay.
I'll talk about it later, I think. You'll remind me of that. I think when we talk about a patriotic citizen, we are talking about a person who obeys the laws. That's the beginning point, and does not need to be told that he or she must obey the laws. Obeys the laws and helps others, the young ones and others who are errant, also to be in line. It is that person who will be driving, sees a stone, stops the car, and removes the stone from the road. It is that person who will see the children not going to school, stops the car or the vehicle, asks them why they are not going to school, and tells them to go to school. Who will stop people from fighting? That is the role of a citizen.
He's responsible.
Yeah, responsible. That's the first one. 2, a citizen pays taxes and other obligations to the state and other organizations without being reminded. So if you avoid taxes, if you evade taxes, the question of citizenry does not exist in you. You are not a citizen.
In its description.
That's why in political science, you are not a citizen. You pay your obligations. The other qualification is to participate in politics. Not voting only, but discussions about issues.
You shouldn't be an onlooker as others are taking on politics.
Yeah, you should discuss matters of development, matters of international relations, domestic policies, and so on and so forth, and guide these directions. And then hold the people in political positions in check and accountable. It is the work of the citizenry. When you don't participate in those, then in political science, you become questionable. You are not a citizen.
The definition changes.
No. It's not just being in a constitution that the citizens of Uganda, the citizens of India, the citizens of this and this. No, you must be undertaking those duties. And the citizen has other functions as well. But he or she has the duty to educate others, has a duty to educate others and contribute in all projects, sometimes giving initiative in the projects in the society or in the community, wherever he or she finds himself. So those are some of the duties and obligations of a citizen. And here, if you had a sieve to look at this citizen, you know how many would pass through. Other than being in the constitution.
Once I fulfill those, I qualify to be a citizen who loves country.
A citizen must love the country. A citizen or citizenry implies loyalty. You must be loyal to your country, to your people. You must be able to lead others and also be led. Respect others and also at the same time receive respect.
Mutual respect.
Yeah. Receive the elders, respect the elders, then also explain to the young ones and so on and so forth. Okay. There is mutuality. Take care of the elderly, at the same time also the younger generation. And when you are exiting, like we are exiting, then others also should be able to take care of you. It's not just looking for a job, get a job, do something and go. No, it is being responsible for the society, and the society becomes responsible for you.
So relate for me, maybe Aloysius, I could throw this to you. Relate for me this citizen Professor is describing and the element of patriotism.
Well,
I pay my taxes, I take a hard fair share of what I'm supposed to do, I obey laws, so I want to feel that patriotism bit coming in here.
Well, of course, it's not accidental that a professor says let him take on first. He's a professor and he's an elder. He must guide. Yes. There is a theory whereby you will see animals. There is always that one that walks in front. And that is, of course, by a mere virtue of his position. A professor is supposed to first prophesize about this concept, the citizen. And then we also, junior monks can come in. But relating, for instance, I want to say that he has unpacked the concept a citizen. There is really additional to that would be specificities, but generally, he has unpacked a concept a citizen. Now, to relate it more to patriotism is in a way that, of course, when you miss out this, imagine you miss out what he has talked about. Now,
you cannot explain that.
You can imagine that situation. You miss out paying taxes. You miss out, first of all, even before even this, love. They must be, everyone, even the past episodes that have been here on this program, they talk love. Everybody, love for your country, love for your neighbor. It begins at that simple level, looked at to be very simple, but tricky, because love at times, you remember the other side, there's hate, you hatred. So when you hate, now you can't follow under these underpinnings. Yes. So relating a citizen to something, to patriotism, is in a way that you get what he has talked about: being loyal, loving, serving your country. Not only serving yourself, serving your country. Because you remember, as his professor, and he has taught me something related to geopolitics. Even when we went to our own training in Chankwanzi, the facilitators were clear. When your neighbor is not okay, you cannot, it's you who is not okay actually. That is where the thing begins from. So when Mr. Barusimbi gets a problem now, and I'm here seated, and I keep looking, actually, for him, patriotism to citizen is in a way that I must raise. If I don't, I lose out to whatever he has talked about. Because when you pay taxes, for instance, you don't pay a tax to benefit from it the way you have paid it, but you pay it for the general society, community, the well-being of that society.
So somebody was telling me that, I think, the other week, and I was asking, so when I pay tax, no questions. I've done my duty and that is it.
Well, it can be that way, but the questions are there. Because you remember
I should check the system.
Yes, and that's the role of a patriotic citizen. Check the leaders, let them deliver. And they are also actually, there is also this angle, they should also deliver if they want to be, remember they also have to be patriotic citizens, because being a leader does not say that you're not a citizen. Actually, a leader is a senior citizen. That's what even when someone knows. So they are supposed to also deliver. When you pay a tax, you check. Have I received what I have paid for? But of course in a sensible way.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I hear you. Now, transforming the country. We are talking about all aspects, economic, social, what else? What else falls there? And we are asking, how can an individual apply patriotism itself? Now we've known who a citizen is. You are relating patriotism to citizenry. And now we're asking, yes, I do that, but patriotism, really, how do I deploy this term patriotism and achieve transformation? Yeah, Professor.
Shall I go first? Let's start like this. Let me unpack quickly the institutions which create this patriot, or which are supposed to bring about a citizen. Quickly. The first one is the family. A child is born in the family and is taught, don't do this, don't do this, do this, do this, don't do this. When you want to get sugar from a sweet potato from the pot, you must get permission from the mother or whoever is there. That's the first institution. That's the first one, which Michel Foucault calls, these are 4 institutions of governmentality. And I'm going to unpack them, and you will see how they bring up people who are collective rather than individualized. That is the first one, the family. The second one, after the family, are religious and cultural institutions. These churches, these mosques, these even Sabo, when you go to, like there was a Sarkate, you in different areas, then there is also where there is this, where there is circumcision in Mbale and so on and so forth. Even in Kapchorwa, there are these institutions impart a lot on the children of don't do this. There is the do's and the don'ts. And gradually, the children grow up knowing how to obey the laws. In the family, when they say, don't get a potato, and you get it, sooner or later they will say, Ogumana Jakuvera Mubi. This child is going to be a thief. Because they can see that. They are saying, don't do it, and they will beat you. So they are preparing you to be an adult who is a citizen. In other words, law-abiding.
Law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, so we have talked about 2 and packed 2. The third institution are educational institutions. These schools, these universities, right from nursery, the madrasas. All these institutions, there are some which are known, there are others which are not known, like even age sets among the different people. Those education institutions help to bring up a citizen, a law-abiding. Then the fourth institution is when you fail, according to Michel Foucault, the fourth institution is there waiting for you, the prison.
Prison, hey.
The prison. So he unpacks those four as very important in bringing up a responsible adult who obeys laws, and he terms it governmentality. From the governmentality, the 4 institutions of governmentality, the family, the cultural, for them they use church, but we know that they are religious and cultural institutions, that's where you get the community and so on and so forth. Then the educational institutions, and finally the prisons. Now, when you get people with common interests and they are discussing politics, you don't discuss politics alone, you are mad. You are together when you are discussing issues that affect the society. And so when you are discussing them, you also you are not just saying the situation is like this. No. You say this is the situation, we have this and this, we have these possibilities, the other country like China solved this problem like this, USA solved like this. For us, in our situation, it can't be like this. We know that the locusts can be killed at night because they don't see. So for us, we are going to kill them at night. As you saw the locusts defeating other countries, and when they came here, they disappeared. They sit together. In other words, it is whatever they do is collective. Individuals can't build a country. A tree does not build a forest. can't make a forest. All tribes make a forest. So to build a country requires people with like minds, people who have been shaped towards a certain direction, and that is known as ideology. They must have ideas which are put together, and they define a problem which is affecting the society and how to overcome it. And that is, the ideology is normally produced by organic intellectuals who are from within the society itself, not from outside. We have seen World Bank, we have seen IMF bring solutions, they fail. But when boys and girls went to Dwero, what they did, you know. From 1981 to 86, the government was formed.
The unpacking is indeed a good one. It introduces me to the other concept of ideology. What is our ideology as a country? Because yes, you can't be an individual and effect transformation. You have to be, many, with a shared goal and shared ideology, according to Professor.
Yeah.
And my question is now, do we have an ideology as a country? And if it is not there, what should it be like? And how can we make people, know about it? That as an individual, this is my purpose. As a country, this is our ideology. But let's come back from a short break. We will continue just from there. You can be a part of this conversation by sending SMS, or the traditional SMS as we know it, or a WhatsApp message on the number displayed on screen. We're coming back shortly.
Freshness you can taste.
Well, we are back. Welcome back from the break. You are watching Uganda First. My name is Frank Walisimbi. In studio, I am with Professor Murindwa Rutanga. He is a professor of political science, and Mr. Lucius Amanyabiona. We are discussing how a patriotic citizen can be a part in transforming the country. That's where we are today. You can send in WhatsApp, you can send a message. Please don't call, we will not be able to receive voice calls. I left a question, Mr. Ainebion, about ideology. Amanyabiona, sorry, yes. Amanyabiona, yes, about ideology. And I was wondering, is there an ideology as a country that we say this is taking us this far? An ideology that has been pushed through by, say, our leaders. Is there any? And if there is no such ideology, what kind of ideology can be put in place to help us realize the transformation we are talking about?
Oh, yeah, thank you, Mr. Warisimbi. First of all, I want to remind anyone, a viewer out there, that the point where Professor had reached. Professor built a theory or an explanation now to the concept ideology. He brought it from far, but he had finished before we went for the break. He concluded by shaping now a concept called ideology. Of course, any country must have an ideology. A country, a society without an ideology is doomed it will perish. An ideology is guidance to how do we get from point A to point B. What guides us? What are the guiding principles? That is an ideology. If leaders, for instance, in a nation, in a country, or even small as in a society, come together to think, because leaders must think. If I recall Professor's lectures when young into political science, he was telling us a leader must think. So leaders must think on how they will guide society and move from point A to point B. So an ideology is in that way, is in that shape. And then number two, is there ideology? Yes, there is ideology. When you look at, for instance, near into my feet, my country here, Uganda, ideology deals with how government can push us from point A, from predominantly a traditional society, then into a modern society. Eh? Karl Marx talks about dialectic materialism, and he talks about those theories and laws of transforming society. So if I can refer you there as
the socio-economic transformation.
Yes, socio-economic transformation of society. Now, when you look at, for instance, here in Uganda, our leaders have told us, let's have the neighbors work with us. Eh? Now, that's ideology. They are trying to say, without them, we shall not transform. We cannot transform. When they are okay, let Kenya be okay, let Rwanda be okay, let Tanzania be okay, and then we market with them. For instance, now if I can refer to the speech of His Excellency the President after being announced on the 16th of January, after elections. Yes, he talked about the line of the mass which they took when they were in the bush, and I was closely listening. And he was talking about the ideology of patriotism, for instance, the ideology of socio-economic transformation, whereby when we trade with Tanzania, with Kenya, because they need us. Recently, you saw how the Maize saga had.
We need each other.
Yes, we need each other.
Sure.
So that's socio-economic transformation, moving from point 1 to point 2 to point 3, and the other one needs a guiding principle, which we have now termed, or we have called, ideology. So socio-economic transformation, that's ideology. Let me also bring in an element of, for instance, Christianity. Religion is an ideology. They say we have 10 commandments. Now, these 10 commandments, anyone who breaks any of the 10 commandments is a sinner in the concepts of the state, is a criminal.
Is a lawbreaker.
Is a lawbreaker. So if religion is having a guiding principle, we want to move from here to here. In other words, for them, they are conceptual. We want to go to heaven. Let's take the 10 commandments. Don't steal, don't.
That's ideology.
Yeah, that's ideology. That's ideology. They are getting a guiding principle, or a way that can make them move from point 1 to point B. For this case, from earth to heaven, which it could be promised land maybe. That is ideology, I could say. What else? But basically now, for instance, where we are now as a country, when I'm a youth and I'm looking at ideology, leaders, including professors, generals in the army, look at doctors, and even journalists. I've seen you for long here on TV. When you're speaking, what you must be speaking guides society. Because remember,
it can influence in
in one way or another. So the leaders have a role to transform their thoughts to the young ones, so that the society keeps on line, keeps on the same line, on a steady line, which
but when you're talking to students before Professor comes in, what do you tell them is our shared ideology as Uganda?
Let me break that very simple. It's a very straight question, and I will answer it in a straight way. When I was at the National Leadership Institute, NARI, every facilitator who came there would hint around that. The guide, even when you read because the government gives a guidance, we shall be patriotic. It's number 1 ideology of this country, being patriotic, what we are discussing now. 2, Pan-Africanism. Now that's the concept of loving the neighbors and bringing them to form integration, East African integration.
The spirit of Africa.
Because without them, we have no way. And them without us, they have no way. That's the simple as that. Then democracy. Let there be voting. Let people choose their leaders. You get? And then socio-economic transformation, where our leaders now are taking us. Socio-economic transformation.
Vision 2040.
Yes. From wherever we are to middle income status country. Putting the ones down to an upper level of earning. Now that is ideology. And you cannot pull them, if you know the history of this one, you cannot pull them if you don't have, for instance, if you talk about agriculture and you want to help people in that sector, You cannot pull them if there is no market out there. So whatever thing they do must relate to, there must be a consumer, because they need that resource. Let's say the maize, let's say the milk, whichever, coffee. And so when actually, even if you remember, if I can quote very well, Professor, you know, it's hard to quote someone in their presence, but I remember because I studied well. Professor, when we left the secondary school, they had told us, why did the missionaries come here? Why did the colonists come here? And we would talk a lot of Rugambo. But when we came in our first year of political science, he guided. Leave alone all that
the approach
Rugambo.
to the question was different.
Yes, and we started saying, no, Professor, he said, go and read. For him, he likes referring. He said, go and read. So we went and read. Market was one of their concerns when they were coming here. And it guided them. It guided them. After all, their resources got market here. I don't know whether I was also got market, but for me, what I'm sure of what I've read, their resources got market here. Up to now, they are getting market, their resources.
I hear you, Aloysius. Back to Professor. Well, he has given us, you know, what he thinks is ideology that is shared amongst us as, you know, citizens. But there are many competing ideologies. We have religion, we have political ideologies. They are also there. This faction believes in this. How can we come together and have one that is shared, or at least a set of them?
You see, there must be a leading ideology. The guiding ideology has to be provided by the political class. That is the class that is in charge of political affairs of the society. That is the ideology that will be, the ideas that will guide society towards the desired goal. Others can have them. We can have it. We can form a political party and say, this is our way of doing things, and that's why we would like to take society. Those are competing, but they are in the background. Once you are in power, that political class in power must provide the national ideology, the leading ideology, and it must be it must be, it must lead the society, or even if it leads this one that way like that, in a hazy situation, it is the political class in office that does that. But I want to talk about East African, this regional integration and Pan-Africanism. It is very important. When the COVID came, before that people were praying kwasa kwasa. When the COVID came, you can see how it has done the region. One country is sticking to the massics, the SOPs and so on and so forth. Then another one is trying. Then another one says it does not exist. Okay, living in denial. Then you find another one also living in denial. And the consequences, the way we are dealing with this problem, which is covering the whole world, is not synchronized. If Africa was dealing with this problem the same way, for example, if we had a continental government, the way America has one government, although it failed to do it, and now it is trying to reverse the Trump type, or the way China handled it, then it would be different if we had one. That's why, for example, regional integration is very important, and it is long overdue. And having a continental government, a Pan-African government, is crucial. These events are demonstrating that. We saw the economies being dismantled. We saw Libya and other countries being invaded, and so on and so forth. And no one could say anything because we are not a government. But if you had one government in the charge of the affairs, giving direction and showing where we were to go and the economies to be transformed, then it would be a different story. And that's why we have now our committees in Uganda, is coming to Uganda from 21st of this month to 5th of May, collecting views the Committee of East African Integration, of constitution experts, collecting views in different areas. We shall start, it will be in different areas. Arua, Guru, Mbale, Kampala will be the last, most likely the first or the last. Then there will be Mbarara, there will be Kaware and other sites, collecting views about the type of integration that should take place and so on and so forth. And I said it is long overdue. But
the conversation has been on
for
so long.
Yeah, instead of action. It started in 1963. with the first African leaders of East Africa.
So do you, both the two of you, do you agree with me that the ideology that we know, a few of us maybe who have labored to read here and there, do you agree with me that this is not shared at all among the citizenry?
It is shared.
Do they understand it well?
No, it is shared. When you see, for example, the president, whether the campaign is or not, he's telling, for example, commodity production. Don't produce for the stomach. In other words, this is what this friend, you're an Eden professor, you're an Eden, calls the economy of affection, cooking for the stomach. Don't be like in a state of nature. Don't be like cows. The cows eat grass and they go and sleep, and they wake up and they eat grass. But in case of drought, there is nothing. But he insists, produce more. In other words, produce social surplus or surplus labor. When you produce more, sell. Then you will get better things. You will save money. And so on and so forth. That is going to lead to social transformation. You know, that's his mission. And being the head of state, and therefore, he's the one who is directing the ideology.
I'm asking it from the perspective that when you move from Yumbe to Kabale, from Busia to Kasese, you know, everybody can tell you simply that as a country, this is our ideology. This is where we should be, say in 40 years or 50. But you know, like Professor is explaining, I see a situation where most of us, or at least many of us, live each day as it comes. Social, you talk of surplus, I don't know.
I think it's because of
give us our daily bread.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even that prayer changed a bit. The Vatican did the amendment. Daily bread, we can't be
like birds.
Yes. So I don't know. I imagine we should be there already, but
they shared. In other words, how to spread the ideology and
push it through. So
that's why the National Secretariat for Pan-African Clubs is doing its best, and that's why the president. We are starting with the president, His Excellency General Kaguta Museveni, is doing great work. But you can see that not many around him are doing the same work, and yet they're supposed to be lieutenants. At least I'm happy that when I collapse, or when I'm tired, or when I'm not here, you can see that he's doing the work. But you can see many people around the president are not doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to educate the people, when the president is doing other duties. They expect him to do everything, and so on and so forth. So that's why you're asking a relevant question. Is it shared from Yumbe or from Arua to Tsoro, from Tsoro to Kabyong, and so on and so forth? Do you see it? And how, I mean, the question is, what should be done, not only by the National Secretariat for Pan-African Clubs, patriotism, not only the president, but all institutions of governmentality to do their work. I've raised the 4 institutions of governmentality. They should do their work, and all people in the government. Yeah, and also those in administration. All the arms of the state should be doing that work. And then religious leaders who happen to be the one arm, and so on. All religious leaders, all institutions should be doing that. And so
I read, of course, Professor knows more than myself and you. When it comes to where communism exists, for example, the way people there understand ideology is very different from some of these other societies. If you went to North Korea, for example, China, you know, people are reading from the same script. Yeah, this is China, this is what we stand for, and they will tell you if you agree with them, if you don't, that's your business.
Yeah, but there will be also minor scripts. They are always residual. Don't say that they are all monolithic. There will be some residual, residual who are putting this one that way.
But not very pronounced.
No, they are not, and they can't stop the society from moving forward.
The other laws that we talked about, unity of opposites. There must be people opposing, and of course, when you continue reading, negation of the negation. They will all struggle to make sure that the ideology pushes. That's struggling. But in that struggle, there will be the quality minority who will push the ideology. When you hear this government was coming in power, they started as small, but with a bigger vision. So they started gathering masses because of the big vision, not because so they were guided. So it's natural to find that they are opposing forces and so on.
We have about 5 minutes to conclude this. There are some reactions, of course, coming in from viewers who want to be part of this conversation.
No, that's good.
We can check them out on screen. Timothy from Chitintali, my thinking is patriotism can't be taught. Instead, it's a feeling that is nurtured and it grows. It's feeling that your country or leadership puts country before self, which translates to citizens loving their country first. As a citizen, I feel my country values and looks out for me. Then automatically my love for my country will be unmatched. Okay. Timothy Nchitintale, thank you for watching. Isaac Besugwa, following from Chibale district. A patriotic citizen is one who loves self, others, and above all Uganda. God bless Uganda. God bless Africa. Just hearing about patriotism, but good stuff. Amanyabiona, let us know how we can join you. Good one. It would be patriotic if that money that is meant to be given to MPs for cars, government buys, for example, double cabin vehicles to each constituency as an official car for the MP. Okay. It remains the property of the said constituency. Okay. If we are not guided by an ideology or belief, then the country withers. For now, I believe Uganda is moving based on the NRM ideology. You agree?
Because it's the government own. You either do it or you don't.
Let's first, you can bring like 3-4 more, please. I have them on phone, but for the good of our viewers as well. All right. NRM ideology. I think he has a point there. If it's an ideology by, say, a single political entity, don't you think it breeds the competition we're talking about? But competing ideologies.
But you see, Mr.
Is it shared if this political entity believes in ABCD? How about the other? Can we have a shared one? That's my concern now.
Now, this program is Uganda First.
Yeah.
So irrespective of the other differences, tolerance. So, but really, for instance, for me, I wonder at times, as a youth and as a student, because I'm studious, I want to learn more always. When someone tells you that Mr. Warusimbi needs me because of my services I can offer, really, is that person a bad person? Is that idea from where you stand from? So at times maybe some people want to adopt the authoritarian way because this is good, you must follow it, which is not the case. I've heard our leaders say, no, we can dialogue, we can talk. Even when you're on the other side, you can reach this side. You can come this side. For instance, as a student, even when I'm working, wherever environment I go to, like Professor was saying, talking about issues of national development and patriotism after all. When I meet someone who is not on my line, in my line of thinking, I make sure I first listen to them. They talk and I first group their body of knowledge, or I see where they are. Where do they, according to me, where do they stand? Then I look into myself, where do I stand? It doesn't mean that person is bad, but now I have to also educate them about where I stand. I tell them, no, you need me, for instance. I can give you an example. After these last elections, there was a lot of talk. We were talking everywhere you'd go. There was a lot of talk. We were 3 students that I finished with my bachelor's at Makerere University. We invited ourselves. We sat outside in a compound of the university. We started discussing. We thought the discussion would take 1 hour because we wanted also. Because remember, I told you we want to gather knowledge, constant search for knowledge, for specifically mere youth. Now we talked about these things. We found out, we started talking about, has there been tribalism, has there been sectarianism in this election and so on. But we came to galvanize all that body of knowledge and say, but this is what is supposed to be done. You understand? So whether they are opposing forces or whichever forces, there must be a line of thinking which is must clear. And when we go for trainings, it's always out. It's always said out. All facilitators bring
a
out.
line that is well informed and,
yes,
and neutral.
Because you must have an independent way of thinking about objectivity. Maybe something small before Professor comes in. Very small. Seconds. Very small. I recently, last week, had an MP saying that when, for instance, I'm not a PRO of Chankwanzi, but he was saying that when they go there, like they are planning to go there, the MPs of NRM, that they are told to be subjective. I have not had any facilitator, being him, he's also a facilitator at the National Secretariat for Patriotism. They tell us to first stand independent of what we are studying. Study it, then make an independent judgment.
Maybe a caucus is different. A caucus, you come to agree on a position that you're going to
well, but they don't tell you. But they don't tell you. But they don't tell you to be part of that of what you're studying.
You can dissent,
yes,
if you wish.
Yes,
Professor.
Yeah.
Your last remarks. We should be out of here already.
Yeah. Don't worry. We shall be out.
In a minute. Yes.
Yeah. You see, the ideas which rule must come from the ruling class. The class that is in charge of the economy and the politics must always bring the ruling ideas. Mm-hmm. The other ones can be around, some of them can be incorporated, and others can be rejected. But in any political arena, once a state has come into existence, then it is that those ideas must come from the ruling class or the political class. Then there is patriotism is taught. When they say don't steal sugar, when they say love your parents, love this and this, love your neighbors, they are teaching you without necessarily, it's teaching is education is what happens to us from the day we are born to the day we die. And so patriotism is taught. I know you are looking at me. Distribution of national resources is very important. And that's why when they are talking about this money of the cars and so on and so forth, well, they are the people in the power. The parliament is the one which is on top. It makes laws and so on and so forth. But it's important also to for the people, for the citizens to discuss those matters outside the parliament. And then when they put their views together collectively, they can say...
Probably they can influence something.
Yeah, and finally, all of us, citizens, even those who are pretending to be citizens, should try to walk the talk. And that's why our our hotels, should start cooking African food.
I hear you.
You can't have an African hotel and where they cook rice, they cook macaroni, they cook tinned food and everything. There's nothing from Uganda. They give coke instead of bushera. They give instead of tontomera or tonto and so on and so forth. They give things from outside and you say we are building a national economy.
You remind me of my other professor, Kanyandagu. Are you known to each other?
No, we have never met.
Small, Mr. Orsin, very small. People are talking about how we can coordinate together. I had someone say, how can we connect to you?
They want to join this.
They want to join this. When you are at a university, be it in the west, in the east, north, west, Nile, whichever, when you are in a university, there is a district coordinator in that district, first of all. The secretariat put district coordinators, then the RDC, he can help you, he can guide you. I can simply say that. The RDC and the district coordinator in a certain district, where, be it Kampala, be it wherever, be it where, the RDC or the district coordinator of that district can help you join. But still the National Secretariat is open, but of course with the element of decentralization. You can contact the RDC or the district coordinator, and
we'll have to leave it at that. You're talking about East African.
Yeah, consultation.
In 10 seconds.
Yeah,
the consultation.
Of constitutional experts will be in Uganda from 21st to 5th May. Okay. And to recover different, so it will be collecting views and a memoranda.
You had hinted at that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Murindwa Rutanga, and thank you, Alozias Amanyabiona. Yes. I wish you well in your endeavor to take patriotism further than this.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for watching. We will be back here next Thursday, 11 a.m. up to noon. My name is Frank Walisimbi. Have a good afternoon.